of clues to the man's personality. There were no records or films to be found, nor pictures on the walls, or photographs on the windowsills. The only idiosyncrasy was the bafflingly large number of fruit and fibre boxes in the kitchen cupboards. So aside from the fact that he was a keen ornithologist with a top-notch digestive system, it was impossible to guess what sort of person John, or James, or Jake had been. Andrew had been as diligent as ever with the property inspection. He'd searched the house, a curious mock Tudor bungalow that sat defiantly as an incongruous interlude on the terraced street, until he was sure he'd not missed something that suggested the man had any family he was still in touch with. He'd knocked on the neighbours' doors, but they'd been either indifferent to or unaware of the man's existence, or the fact it was over. The vicar segued unsurely into a bit of Jesus-y material, and Andrew knew from experience that the service was coming to a close. He had to remember this person's name as a point of principle. He really tried his best, even when there was no one else there, to be a model mourner, to be as respectful as if there were hundreds of devastated family members in attendance. He'd even started removing his watch before entering the church, because it felt like the deceased's final journey should be exempt from the indifference of a ticking second hand. The vicar was definitely on the home stretch now. Andrew was just going to have to make a decision. John, he decided. He was definitely John. And while we believe that John, yes, struggled to some extent in his final years, and sadly departed the world without family or friends by his side, we can take comfort that, with God waiting with open arms, full of love and kindness, this journey shall be the last he makes alone. Andrew tended not to stick around after the funerals. On the few occasions he'd ended up having to make awkward conversation with funeral directors or last-minute rubberneckers. It was remarkable how many of the latter you would get, hanging around outside, farting out inane platitudes. Andrew was well practised at slipping away so as to avoid such encounters, but today he'd briefly been distracted by a sign on the church notice board advertising the troublingly jaunty Midsummer Madness Fete, when he felt someone tapping him on the shoulder with the insistence of an impatient woodpecker. It was the vicar. He looked even younger close up, with his baby blue eyes and blonde curtains parted neatly in the middle, as if his mum might have done it for him. "Hey, it's Andrew, isn't it? You're from the council, right?" "That's right," Andrew said. "No luck finding any family, then?" Andrew shook his head. "Shame, that. Real shame." The vicar seemed agitated, as if he were holding on to a secret that he desperately wanted to impart. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Yes," Andrew said, quickly deciding on an excuse for why he couldn't attend Midsummer Madness. "How did you find that?" the vicar said. "Do you mean the funeral?" Andrew said, pulling at a bit of loose thread on his coat. "Yeah. Well, more specifically, my part in it all, because, full disclosure, it was my first. I was quite relieved to be starting with this one, to be honest, because there wasn't anybody here, so it sort of felt like a bit of a practice run. Hopefully now I'm fully prepared for when there's a proper one, with a church full of friends and family, not just a guy from the council. No offence," he added, putting a hand on Andrew's arm. Andrew did his best not to recoil. He hated it when people did that. He wished he had some sort of squid-like defence that meant he could shoot ink into their eyes. "So, yeah," the vicar said. "How do you think I did?" "What do you want me to say?" Andrew thought. "Well, you didn't knock the coffin over or accidentally call the deceased Mr. Hitler, so 10 out of 10, I'd say." "You did very well," he said. "Oh, great! Thanks, mate," the vicar said, looking at him with renewed intensity. "I really appreciate that." He held out his hand. Andrew shook it and went to let go, but the vicar carried on. "Anyway, I'd better be off," Andrew said. Yes, of course," said the vicar, finally letting go. Andrew started off down the path, breathing a sigh of relief at escaping without further interrogation. "See you soon, I hope," the vicar called after him. Chapter 2. The funerals had been given various prefixes over the years: public health, contract, welfare,